Hey, what's going on, you guys? What's up? My name's Barbarian, and welcome to Story Time with Barbie, a new series where I talk to you guys about funny stories, moments, or even just awkward things that happen in my life, and you guys can laugh at them. But first, before we talk about the first time I got suspended in school, I want you guys to know that if you have any suggestions on what you want to hear me talk about, any at all, feel free to leave those down in the comments section. And also, if we can get 1,000 likes, I will share with you what I think is one of the most embarrassing things to ever happen to me. That's right, I have a super secret story, and we'll get it if we can hit that mark. So, my first time getting suspended. Kind of embarrassing, kind of funny, not really that good. It was middle school. It was actually the first day of middle school. 6th grade came pretty quickly for me. I was, not really mature enough to handle a new school with new rules and more mature expectations of myself. And like most kids, you hung out with the people who you went to elementary school with, because who wants to make new friends on the first day of school when you can hang out with someone you've known since you were 5? So I hung out with this kid, and I'm not going to tell you his name because I want to keep things sort of anonymous, but I was hanging out with him, and I think what happened was he ended up farting. I blamed it on him, and he got embarrassed in front of these girls. I don't know what it was. It was stupid. We were middle schoolers. Everyone farted, and honestly, everyone kind of smelled, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But he got really upset, and he started pushing and shoving me, so obviously I decided to push and shove him as well. Now keep in mind, this is right outside the school. This is before the bell rings, but when you're actually inside the lobby courtyard area. So I'm sitting there going, well, there's no way I'm gonna let him push me around, so I just pushed him and shoved him, and I got really upset, and we were pushing and shoving, and he takes off his backpack and whips it at me. Now, I'm pretty good at sports. I'm not like an athletic person, but I'm very well rounded. I have good reflexes, so I dodged out of the way of the backpack, no problemo. Unfortunately, the girl behind me had not so good reflexes. She ended up taking the backpack to the face, like Tabes, to the face. And I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. So we both laughed it off, thinking nothing of it. It turns out the vice principal, who is a real hard ass, found out that we hit a girl in the face with a backpack in the middle of our quote-unquote fight. Now, I really didn't call it a fight, but apparently in middle school they have this zero tolerance policy, so we got called down to the office like in the middle of homeroom. 5 minutes into the school day, we get called down there, and he immediately tells us we're suspended. He's trying to figure out who we are first off, because he's never seen us before. It's our first day of school, and he's trying to figure out what happened, who threw the first punch. He ended up calling down like 10 different people, and they all said nobody threw the first punch. If anything, the other kid was the one who pushed me first. But the principal really wasn't having any of that. He didn't really care whether or not one of us punched each other. He just was sure that this is the great way to send a message to the incoming 6th grade that there is a zero tolerance policy for fighting. So we got suspended. My parents picked me up, and they were very upset at first. Then they realized, this is one of my best friends. We were just fooling around. We really weren't fighting. It was just a case of us being a little bit too immature for the setting. So that was the first time we got suspended. That was the actual time we got suspended for real. Now, I'm not going to say that I actually learned my lesson, because quite frankly, I didn't. I actually got worse as middle school went on. In fact, I think I had a permanent seat in the office where the principal's office was. Yeah, there was a little row of chairs where people would wait to go into his office. And I figured out there was this one chair that was so far in the corner, sometimes he wouldn't notice you were there if you sat down quickly. So what I would do is I would sit down there, and then of course, being in the office, no one questions that you're there. So you sit there for, 2, 3, I think my record was 4 periods, until the principal finally realizes, hey, there's a kid here waiting to see you. But of course, by then you've already missed half your classes, and they can't yell at you, because you can just say, well, I was called down to the principal's office, and I guess he was very busy because he didn't call me into his office at all for 4 whole periods. So I did that pretty often, but then they kind of caught on. I think they moved the chair my 7th grade year, so that kind of stunk. I had to actually go in and out pretty quickly. But the second time I almost got suspended, and this is the only time I've ever been threatened with suspension in middle school. And this is basically because I don't want to say I was being immature again, but I was pretty much being immature again. And lo and behold, it was with the same exact person who I got in trouble with the first day of school. Now, me and my friend, we were trying to play a little prank on one of my other friends and tabletop them. If you don't know what tabletopping is, it's when you kneel down on your knees behind somebody and the other person pushes them backwards so they trip over you and fall. It's really funny. It was a kind of a weird craze that went around middle school, and we were trying to do it to my really tall friend. Unfortunately, when a really tall guy falls, he usually creates a pretty big disturbance, and the principal saw it. He came over, got the vice principal, and he was like, "Are you kidding me? You've already been suspended." This was like 3 months into the school year too, so we were still relatively new. He called us into his office. He ended up not suspending us. He only gave us 2 3-hour detentions. They were not that bad. I got really used to them, and I got to know most of the teachers, so I got to get out like 15 minutes early. It's always good to suck up. Note to anyone who's going into the middle school phase or any sort of school phase. Always good to suck up. So we ended up getting 2 extended day detentions for that. Wasn't the worst thing in the world, but from then on there, I pretty much just got in trouble for a lot of immature things. Nothing too serious. Maybe I'll share some of those stories with you guys, but for now, that is the end of this one. Guys, if you like this video, you want to see some more funny, embarrassing school stories, feel free to tell me in the comments, or just hit that like button. That's how I know you guys want to see more of this series. So, with that being said, guys, I do hope that you enjoyed the video, and as always, my name's Barbarian. Peace out.